Amandos, 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 amandos. Amandos. Good morning, everybody, to the Fall 2025 orientation. Thank you for coming in person and taking time out of your busy schedules to come today. And as also everybody on Zoom today, thank you very much also for coming today. So we'd like to promptly get started here, just so we don't take up too much of your time. I'd like to move on to the President's remarks by President Scott Mitchell.
Hey, you're the dean. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My name is Scott Mitchell. I'm the president of the Institute of Buddhist Studies. Welcome, one and all. It's very exciting to see everybody here, both in person and online. Hello, people online. And I just wanted to briefly welcome everybody to the Institute and sort of reflect momentarily on the community that you all are a part of and that you're all entering into today. The Institute of Buddhist Studies was established in 1949 by a group of young people here in Berkeley, right across the wall at the Berkeley Buddhist Temple. And it was initially a study center for people who wanted to become ministers in the Jodo Shinshu tradition. Now, I say it was started by a group of people at this temple across the way, but in fact, it was actually started in a woman's living room a little further down the road. Women and the Asian American community, the Japanese American community had just returned here from the internment camps during World War II and quickly went about recreating their community. And because of their hard work and determination, we are all here today to be able to study the Dharma together. So as you're entering into this exciting new chapter of your lives, I hope that you remember that your ancestors stretch back not just to whatever your traditions are, but also to this particular community here in Berkeley. So welcome and enjoy. After you, sir.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, President Scott Mitchell. Next is Dean's remarks. My name is Takashi Miyaji. I'm the Dean at IBS. The Institute of Buddhist Studies was created, as Scott has mentioned here, with the intention of educating American Jodo Shinshu ministers here on the U.S. soil. The challenges our ancestors faced in a difficult environment were akin to attempting to cultivate crops in an infertile land. Yet they persevered and the Nimbut's teaching flourished despite the odds. And from these humble beginnings, IBS has certainly expanded its scope over the years. Classes focus not just on Jodo Shinshu, but cover other traditions while also engaging with how Buddhist values and teachings can inform the way students approach issues that affect our society today. The IBS itself is a contemporary project that is an unfolding tapestry, full of potential and wonder. Students are not just encouraged to study the rich history and tradition that spans 2,500 years, they're also challenged to imagine what a world would look like where the Buddha Dharma informs their worldview in an ever-changing world. In this way, students today are undertaking the same challenge that our ancestors faced when Buddhism first came to this country. They are sowing seeds in a dynamic and unpredictable future, one that demands an inquisitive, imaginative, and creative mind. It's my hope that every student appreciates the indispensability of the work they will do and accepts the continuing challenge that's handed down to them by our forebears. So thank you very much. And I'd like to then move on over to the introduction of faculty and adjunct. I'm not tech savvy, so I'm going to try my best to try to make this a smooth process. So we'll begin with the faculty and adjuncts who are here. And if you could come up, let's see, to this area, right? Is that correct? And then introduce yourselves to everybody. We'll have the camera facing you, and then the microphone will be right here, okay? So we'll begin with Nancy. Did you, oh, okay. Should we just stand right here? Okay, let's do that then.
Okay, this is good? Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Nancy Lin. I teach in chaplaincy and spiritual care. Those are the areas I was hired to teach in, and my academic background is in Tibetan and Indian, early South Asian Buddhism. Should I say a little about the classes I'm teaching?
Yes,
or
please.
anything like that? Okay, yeah. This fall I'm teaching Buddhist Spiritual Care 1. And that is a class where I ask that we integrate contemporary general literature and practices in spiritual care with Buddhist principles and practices and teachings in spiritual care. So I'll be teaching that. I see some of you will be in my class this semester. The other class I'm teaching this fall is Readings in Mahayana Texts, and the text that I'm focusing on is the Bodhicharya Avatara, which is an 8th century Sanskrit text by Shantideva. It is well known, beloved, and popular in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, but I also take it as an opportunity to teach it as a Mahayana text that covers basic principles of the path, and I welcome students of any tradition to take that class. I'll just say briefly also about my teaching approach, that I love teaching here, and one of the reasons I love teaching here at IBS is because I ask all of us, you as students and myself as an instructor, to bring our whole selves to the classroom, and I find this is a space where we can do that, and that is encouraged. And I also love that all of you as students come in with different life experiences. You come in of different ages and backgrounds, different levels of education. So I really welcome that all of us bring that to the classroom and integrate that into our learning experience that we do together. So, yeah.
Can you briefly mention the spring classes for 2026?
Spring classes. What am I teaching in the spring? I'm teaching Buddhism and world religions, and I'm teaching engaged Buddhism again, I believe. So yes, again, you're all welcome to take any of those. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Hi everyone, I'm Lilu Chen. I'm the Field Education Director, and I also run the chaplaincy program here with Nancy. What is field education? Many of you may not have heard of the term. It's more relevant if you're a Master's of Divinity student, but it's basically trying to bridge all the theory and history and kind of stuff that's more intellectual that you're learning with practical experience. So part of field education is you get a field site, a practical place where you're trying out your skills as a minister or chaplain. And then you come to class with me and we talk about your experiences at your field site and how they might relate to some Buddhist teachings or principles or your own approach as a Buddhist in these fields. So this is something we offer to our Masters of Divinity students, trying to kind of bring together the practical and theoretical, the lived experience with our ideas of what things are or how they should be, and also deepen our own self-awareness of ourselves, because in the class we get to know each other and we kind of talk about and get to know how people perceive us and how we might come off to others. These are all great skills for our future ministers and chaplains. So this fall I'm teaching Introduction to Field Education, and then in the spring I'll be teaching kind of a second field education course. The title is To Be Determined. The other thing I do here is I supervise and sort of help students interested in CPE. So that's the Clinical Pastoral Education. So this is training for chaplains in the hospital. You don't do it here at IBS, but I do kind of help students through. It's kind of a confusing or can be a difficult application process, interviewing, and then when they're at their hospital site or other sites, kind of being a person you can check in with during that process. And we do offer academic credit for that for our Masters of Divinity students. So you can talk to me if you'd like to find out more about our policies there. And yeah, I really enjoy working here. As Nancy mentioned, I do love how I have a kind of academic background. I'm trained as a scholar of Islamic studies. Past life, I've studied Muslims in China and have a book out about that. And then I, through twists and turns in my life, got into hospital chaplaincy. So now I'm here, and I'm also a Buddhist practitioner myself. So I love that the students here also come from various life places and have been really shaped by their own life experiences. And I think that was kind of what I was missing when I was a graduate student, like in an academic institution. And I love that here we're kind of bringing that together. So look forward to getting to know you all.
Thank you very much, Lady Sensei. We'll then move over to Paul's.
Good morning, everyone. Happy to see you all here, and I'll look back at the screen when I go back and sit down. Oh no, I can see you here too. So my background is primarily training in Japanese Buddhism, and ethnography is the primary modality I use to explore the questions I have that are focused on women and how they apply the Dharma in their lives, whether that means through monastic practice, practice in what I call domestic Buddhism in the home, and the rituals that they create and engage in, particularly with a focus on how it helps them heal. So this fall, I'm teaching a course. It was the first course I taught. I'm teaching it for the second time here at IBS, Buddhist Women's Liberating Power. And so I came here in winter of 2022, and one of the students who was in that class is here, and that was so stimulating to explore the question of how do women wield liberating power across different Buddhist time periods and cultures and streams of practice. And so I thought, there were 4 people in the class, and I thought, this has to be more part of our way of seeing the Buddhist tradition than 4 people at a time. So I wrote a book, and it is just finished. It won't be out till next summer. So that, teaching here, because the people who find us gratefully are so amazing. And so it inspired me to write a book. And so I'm always excited to see who's going to be there. And I anticipate there will be insights, there will be perspectives that just keep everybody growing. So that can happen because, as already been mentioned, that we focus on the whole person. And I am trained academically, but I have, every step of the way, I have been trying to push out that mold because it's too constricting, and I think it limits your ability to see Buddhist tradition critically, because you're consciously limiting your perspective. And so I constantly push that perspective out. And ethnography is a wonderful approach for doing that. But so anyways, I'm very excited to see what's going to happen with this class. It can serve as an introduction to various Buddhist traditions because we kind of, not the whole gamut, but we do quite a big range of cultures and time periods. And then the other class I'm teaching is new, Buddhist medicine and healing. This is a field that has, it's been an approach to the Buddhist tradition from the beginning. That's why many people throughout history wanted to turn to the Buddhist teachings, because of the medical knowledge and the healing potential. That was its calling card as it moved around the world. But now Western scholarship and English resources have started to really develop enough that we can have even just a smattering of what is available. So I'm very much looking forward to looking at these various healing paradigms within a Buddhist context. Then next spring, I'll be teaching the methods class, which is taught every spring. And I encourage anyone who's going to write a thesis will meet me and we'll work on this together. And methods for me is so exciting because it gets at the root assumptions and infrastructure of creating knowledge, which I see comes with tremendous moral responsibility. And so we take each approach examining that, and there are tiers even in a methods class because it becomes so palpably real of the ramifications of what we're doing. The other class is Buddhist ritual, which is another one where there tend to be some tears because people do these rituals to help them navigate the various kinds of suffering that occur. And so we lean into that. And how might you, what are the things that you think about when creating rituals or observe rituals or understand them? So I think, have I covered everything? And Soto Zen certificate, I'm the advisor for that, so come to me for that. And I'm a very grateful faculty member to be part of this community. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on over to
Good morning. My name is Courtney Bruntz, and I am advising students in the Buddhist Studies certificate. My academic background is in contemporary Chinese Buddhism. I, like Paula, also take an ethnographic look and focus. I have primarily published on pilgrimage and Buddhist tourism, but right now I'm working on a longer monograph on Buddhism and youth, specifically play. I think because I have a 3- and 7-year-old, I'm really interested in this idea that you can be a playful Buddhist and how kids play is not just for kids, but also for adults. And so I'm working on this longer study on the playfulness of Buddhism. And actually that segues into how I approach teaching as well. Is I think teaching should offer a varieties of opportunities to kind of play in the classroom, not in a way that we think that doesn't have academic rigor, but instead that, as Nancy was talking about, bringing your full self into the classroom and having opportunities to be experiential and experiment too with one's work. I don't have any classes this fall because the other hat that I wear is I'm the institution's accreditation liaison officer, which is a fancy title for meaning I do a lot of documents and I work with our accrediting body to make sure that everything that we are doing maintains accreditation and to stay open in that sense. But in the spring, I'll be teaching the Buddhism in East Asia course, and I'm really excited to be teaching that. Prior to IBS, I taught at a variety of institutions at 4-year schools and also at a private liberal arts school. So I'm really excited to be teaching that class this spring and to welcome you all to the new semester.
Thank you very much. As the rest of the core faculty here, again, my name is Takashi Miyaji. Oh my gosh, Natalie Sensei. My apologies. Natalie Sensei, move on over. I was standing over here, sorry, I didn't see you. Natalie Sensei, please come here.
Hi, I don't know if you can see me over this, I feel pretty short. My name is Natalie Cooley, and I'm also core faculty, and I'm just listening to my colleagues. I'm just so continually impressed with not just the knowledge and the breadth of knowledge, but the compassionate approaches, the willingness to let people come as they are and to teach them from whatever positionality they come from. This is a really special place, and I'm really grateful to be part of it. My background is in Buddhism in the United States, contemporary Buddhist practice in Theravada communities, also kind of beyond Theravada communities. I've done field work in the community of mindful living and Thich Nhat Hanh's communities, as well as Vipassana and insight communities in the US, diasporic, Thai, Sri Lankan, Lao, and other Theravada communities in the US, and I've done field work in Sri Lanka. So my background is also ethnographic primarily, but also somewhat sociological. I am the person who guides the Theravada certificate, so if you're interested in getting the certificate in Theravada Buddhism, you would come to me. I am not teaching this fall because my other hat is as the editor of the Pacific World Journal. This is an academic journal out of the Institute of Buddhist Studies. I would encourage everyone to think about publishing in there. Even if you're a student, it's a great way to get your foot in the door into academia. So I'm not teaching this semester, but in the spring I will be teaching meditation and Theravada traditions. It's the first time I'm teaching this class, and I am so excited about it. We are going to cover really the breadth of the Theravada tradition and talk about all the different meditation techniques in that tradition, and we're going to try them out and try them on. So that's going to be really fun. We're going to learn a lot of Pali terms in the process. And then the following spring, every other spring, I usually teach the introduction to Theravada traditions. And you don't have to be a Theravada Buddhist to enjoy that class and learn things about your own tradition through it. So I encourage everyone to come join one of my courses. And I'm very excited to meet everyone and learn more about you, and appreciate you being here. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Nami Sensei. Okay, once again, my name is Takashi Miyagi. Not Miyagi. A lot of times people mess up my name. It's because of that movie Karate Kid, but we'll get into that some other time. So my name is Takashi Miyagi. I'm the dean and also the advisor for those who go into the Shin side of things. I teach for this semester, for the fall, it'll be the works of Shinran. I do the works of Shinran series, but this semester will be the works of Shinran 2, where we'll cover Shinran Shonin's Kyogyo Shisho, his magnum opus. So we'll cover Kyogyo and Sho. So the teaching practice in Shinjin, what I would arguably say is the most crucial part of Shinran's thought. And so this is a very important class, and I'd like to encourage you to come and check it out. Even if you're not part of the Shin tradition, I would like to welcome you to come see what this class is about, what Shinran's thought is about. The following semester, I'll then move on over to Works of Shinran 3, which covers the latter half of the Kyogyo Shinsho. So it'll be the Shokan, Shinbutsu-Dokan, and the Kekan. And so we'll cover other major topics that Shinran Shonin discusses. Okay, so those are the 2 semesters that I teach. I know I'm missing something here that I wanted to mention. Okay, well, it escapes me right now. But anyway, I would like to then move on to the adjunct faculty who are kind of here in person, and then we'll move over to the folks online. I did see a comment on the online. Is there like a chat or somewhere? But I'm just going to call on you, okay, to introduce yourselves, okay? So that's how we'll do that. And I do see that there's adjuncts on the online Zoom call, so I'll call on you as well first, okay? But we're beginning with Harry Sensei.
Okay, thank you everyone. I'm Harry Bridge. I've actually been teaching at IBS since 2008, so it's something like 17 years. One of the hats I wear is I'm the coordinator for the Shin Ministerial Program. So if you're in the Shin certificate, I'll be your advisor. But for people that advance into degree programs, then Reverend Dr. Miyagi becomes your advisor. I also teach 1 course per semester. This fall I'm teaching HR 8140, the Introduction to Shin Buddhist Thought. I've been teaching that one since about 2018, and it was originally taught by Reverend Dr. David Matsumoto, who has since retired. So I feel very fortunate to have been able to take over that class, and I use mostly his material still, because it's so good. And that class isn't just for Shin ministerial aspirants. I think it's actually maybe required for degree students still. And it looks like this semester there will be people from a variety of traditions. So sometimes it's like all Shin students, sometimes it's a mix. It's easiest when it's kind of one or the other, and it looks like it's going to be a mix of people, so it should be really interesting. In the spring I'll be teaching HRHS 8325, I had to write that down. History of the Pure Land tradition. Readings in, this coming spring, SA 8317, readings in Mahayana texts. The 3 Pure Land Sutras. And so that is one of the required classes for the Shin certificate, and then every other spring semester I've been teaching the history of the Pure Land tradition, 7 masters. So 7 masters and 3 Pure Land sutras are these 2 required texts for the Shin certificate. And also, I'll also mention that I'm also the resident minister at Buddhist Church of Oakland, which is one of the BCA, Buddhist Churches of America temples. It's connected to this institution. And so if you are in town and you want to come visit, you're more than welcome. Just email me first and we'll set up an appointment, because I'm somewhat often not there, because I might be here. So thank you.
Great, thank you very much. That's what I remember what I wanted to mention now. As we see that from the esteemed colleagues and faculty here, that we have academics on one hand and practice on the other, and this intentional kind of blending or the breaking down that barrier between the 2 sides is something that we're very intentional about here at IBS, because we do know that right across the street and at other 4-year institutions that do teach Buddhism, it tends to be very academic heavy. And so, but in our opinion, Buddhism is a lived religion, all right? And that's what we're really trying to push here to understand and be able to have this opportunity to study how Buddhism is living here in America. And that's something that I wanted to kind of point out. So thank you. We'll move on over then to the staff who are here. Great, my name is staff. Hello. Thank you. You want to introduce yourself very briefly? And
Can you do it from here or not?
the camera is kind of angled over here, so yeah, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Helen Togawa, and you probably have seen my emails by now. I'm the registrar for IBS, and just want to say hello so you have a face to the name, and also remind you that there's 1 more week of registration open. So if you've already registered for courses, you can still move around on your own. After Friday of next week, that ability to self-register and add or drop courses ends, but you can still have 2 weeks, so that takes you into the 2nd Friday, which is September 12th, I believe, and you can still add or drop courses without a fee. After that 12th, probably because everything is finalized then, the billing should be paid for, scholarships, all that stuff gets populated into your accounts. And it's much more complicated to change courses and take you off of rosters afterwards. So there is a $50 charge if you drop a class, $50 when you add a class. So if you're just switching a class, that's $100. So just keep that in mind. September 12th is very important to you. And then that's kind of the rule as you go through your semesters at IBS. It's the 2nd Friday. So the Friday right before classes start, that is the end of registration. And then 2 Fridays after classes start, that is the date when you should have everything kind of rolling and ready. Also, oh, sorry.
Yeah, thank you. It was just an introduction. Yeah, we'll get into that. Yeah,
okay.
Next section. Thank you. Thank you. I did see Gishini, but she might have stepped out for a second here. She's also on the staff as well. But maybe we'll give her an opportunity to introduce herself later. Okay. So we're going to move on over to now that things have moved online, and it's harder to build this sense of community, and that was one of the reasons why we asked people to come in person. But we do know that because this is hybrid, there are people online. We would like to very, very, very quickly, because there's many of us, just kind of introduce ourselves. We'll begin with the people in this room, just like your name, your program that you're in, and maybe an interest of yours. Oh my gosh, I forgot about the faculty. It's okay, let's go to the faculty that's online. Mutsumi Sensei, can you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Dean. Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, hi. Good morning, everyone. Hi. I'm Mutsumi Wanjura as well. I'm one of the agent, and I'm living in Southern California because I am taking care of Orange County Buddhist Church in Southern California. So my class is asynchronous and everything's online. But however, we meet on Zoom Wednesday night, 7 p.m. I hope everyone will enjoy. I'm IBS and then also Ryukoku graduate, and my background academic is a Japanese Pure Land, and then also Shin Buddhist studies. My class this fall is a history of Shin Buddhist tradition, particularly pre-modern. So pre-modern means coming from that, starting from Heian period and through the end of Edo period. So the Japanese Pure Land Buddhism was introduced by Honen and his disciple Shinran. And then Shin Buddhist tradition was transmitted before the Meiji restoration time. And this course is review also Japanese medieval society and then politics and the religious thought, including non-Pure Land tradition and other Pure Land schools beside the Shin Buddhist tradition. I believe this course is required to Shin Buddhist ministerial degree program student and certificate in Shin Buddhist studies. Even my classes are asynchronous and online, but I'm available for any questions. If you can reach me, text or phone, anything, an email. I'm happy to study with you if you're interested in my class, History of Shin Buddhist Tradition, Pre-Modern. Thank you very much for having me today.
Thank you, Sensei. Let's move on to Luke Thompson, Sensei. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Luke, and I teach the Buddhist Japanese 1. It's sort of supposed to be a 4 semester series, Buddhist Japanese 1, 2, 3, 4. And I taught it for about 3 years and then took this last year off, and I'm starting back again with Buddhist Japanese 1. The focus of the course is really on getting you to read Japanese by yourself. And sort of getting you to, and my aim is to help you develop the kind of the reading skills, how to kind of identify certain sentence structures in a way that you can really start kind of going on your own. We will be doing a little bit of listening practice in the course as well, but the focus is more on reading. In the past, we've read kind of everything's kind of a mixture of sutras in modern Japanese translation, some sort of medieval tale literature, again in modern Japanese translation, some contemporary Dharma talks that are obviously a little closer to kind of spoken Japanese, and then also some essays, and also a fair number of sort of just kind of academic articles about various facets of Buddhist history in Japan. The course is open to sort of all people with all levels of sort of exposure to and history with Japanese language. The course is held synchronously, but on Zoom on Friday mornings. I do have one student who will be taking it asynchronously because we'll be recording the classes. If you have any questions about the course, I encourage you to just reach out directly to me and we can have a chat about it. And if you're interested in the course, but you're not quite sure if it's right for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sensei. Fingers crossed. I hope I didn't miss anybody. I've covered everybody, right? In terms of adjunct faculty here. Yeah, Thomas Calabrese has a recorded video that we'll show later, and he's also an adjunct faculty here at IBS. Okay, he's not here. I don't see him. Okay. So why don't we go quickly through the online folks here, just because I have your attention here. Billy Nguyen, if you could introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, it's really great to be with you. I took 3 courses with the Soto's certificate in Soto's Studies in the spring. It's my 2nd semester with the program. I just recently moved to Carbondale, Colorado, and a longtime practitioner at the Zen Center in Canada. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you. We'll go over to John DiGilio.
Hello, everyone. I'm sorry I can't be with you up there today. I was scheduled to be there, and my home is now having its 2nd round of COVID. I'm happy to say that we're all doing well, but it's definitely been interesting. I am starting my second semester here at IBS, and I'm in the Shin Buddhist Certificate program. Looking forward to getting classes started again.
Thank you. We'll move over to Thankful Daniel Hatfield.
Hello, I'm Renko Daniel Hatfield. I'm in the Soto Zen Studies Certificate program. I'm a novice Sotoshu priest here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's it.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Short and sweet. That's the way we like it. Robert Sinclair.
Hello. Yes. Hi. I'm Rob Sinclair. I'm in Tokyo right now, and I'm taking the certificate in Buddhist studies. It's my second semester, and I'm getting more and more interested in Buddhist tenet classification. Right. So that's one of my many interests. It's great to be here. It's great to see everybody, and thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Daniel Swangard.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dan Swangard. I am currently in Redmond, Washington. It's hopefully somewhat temporary. I hope to be back down there in the next 6 to 12 months. I'm in the Masters in Divinity program, and it's an interest. Well, some of my best meditative moments are in the swimming pool. So that's where I have some of my best meditative moments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Scott Morganson.
Hi, everybody. I'm calling you from Ontario, Canada, although I'm originally from Santa Cruz, California, where I grew up and began my Soto Zen practice. And I'm in the Soto Zen certificate program and really looking forward this year to hopefully transitioning into the Masters in Buddhist Studies.
Thank you. Arturo Rubio.
Good morning, everyone. I'm kind of like the same situation as John DiGilio. I'm currently recovering from COVID, so I'm sorry if I'm a little off. Anyways, my name is Arturo Rubio. I'm a certified minister's assistant at the Buddhist Temple of San Diego. I've been taking one class per semester, so I will be starting my third semester. I'm currently studying for the certificate in Shin Buddhist Studies, and I'm interested in continuing my studies at IBS and working towards Tokudo ordination. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Aaron Hoppenjohn.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm home recovering from surgery, so I'm glad I'm able to attend online. I'm midway through the certificate in Shin Buddhist Studies online. I'm in Seattle, and my background is in video game design, and I'm interested in the intersection of education and play and Buddhism. Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron. Yana Lem.
Hi, everybody. Hi. I'm Nyama Lam. I'm originally from Hong Kong. I moved to LA 10 years ago because of my daughter. She's already 9. I'm teach yoga, Reiki. I'm a sun healer. And I'm also a Buddhist. I go Zen meditation camp retreat for the last 3 years in Fagushan. So I'm really interested in exploring more what Buddhism can inspire me in all kind of my profession and my daily life. I'm brand new, so I'm just started. I didn't even have one class yet. But I sounds really interested. I love the woman Buddhism, and I hear the Buddhas for kids, and everything sounds really alive. So I think it's really resonate for my personality. All right, so I hope that we will all have a good study year this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Yana. Allison, in a second.
I'm so sorry. My name is Allison Yasaki. I am a certified minister's assistant at Guardian Buddhist Church, which unfortunately I am helping with the service in just a bit. I will be part of this certificate of Shin Buddhist Studies program this coming fall, and this will be my first semester with IBS.
Okay. Thank you, Allison. Bob Shimokaji.
Hi, I'm Bob Shimokaji. The video is not working, so I'm from Ekoji Buddhist Temple, and I'm in the Shin Buddhist certificate program.
Thanks, Bob. Thank you. Janice Hirohama?
Good morning, everyone. Janice Hirohama. I'm zooming in from Southern California. I'm a certified minister's assistant at the Orange County Buddhist Church, and I am in the Certificate in Shin Buddhist Studies program. And this will be my third semester at IBS.
Thank you. Michael Lawrence?
I'm Michael Lawrence. I'm calling from Canyon, Texas, near the second largest canyon in the United States, Palo Duro Canyon. I'm in the Certificate of Shin Buddhist Studies program. This will be my third semester, fifth class. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Sarah Lam? There.
Yes, hi everyone. Good to see you. So happy to be here. I am usually in Brooklyn. Today I'm in a place called Orient Village, which is at the tip of Long Island. And I am in the Certificate of Buddhist Studies program. And I am so delighted by this term that I first heard Dr. Arai use last semester, domestic Dharma. And it's something that has really made me feel alive and excited and engaged. And I look forward to exploring it more. Thank you.
Thank you. Matthew Gutter? I said that right.
Hello, can you hear me?
He gave me an intro. You can see if he wants to talk.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Where is it?
Are you able to hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. I apologize for not being on camera. I'm recovering from a severe nosebleed, but I'm very happy to be here for my first semester. And I am a Vajrayana and Shin Buddhist practitioner. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Matthew. We'll move on over to Mariko Nishiyama-san.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mariko Nishiyama. This year, I completed the Daishin Buddhism course online in order to, I'm a Hawaii Kyodan minister. So in order to deepen my studies further, I'm considering pursuing a master's program focused on Jodo Shinshu. So if my circumstances allow, I would like to continue because I was reassigned to another place from October 1st. So a little bit hard for me to continue at this time, but I'm thinking about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I hope I got everybody. I think that's everybody online here on the Zoom. Okay, great. If I missed you, please feel free to jump in the conversation here. Wonderful. Okay, so what we'll do is there's the in-person folks here. If you want to come up here and introduce yourself, that's great. If you don't want to, I'll come over and hand you the microphone so people at least hear your voice. We'll start down the line right here. Gentlemen, yeah, second row here. Yeah, right here would be great. Thanks. Oh, yeah.
Good morning. My name's Evan Crawford. I come here by way of Rochester, Minnesota, where I just wrapped up my CBD residency at the Mayo Clinic. I'm part of Siouxland Zen, which is based out of Iowa, which is also kind of loosely affiliated with Integral Zen, which is a very, very small but somehow global organization. I'm going to be in the MDiv program. This will be my first semester here. So, thank you.
Hey everyone, my name is Josh Herney and I live here in the Bay Area. I'm in the Buddhist chaplaincy program. This is my first semester here, so looking forward to taking 2 classes. I'm also doing a CPE program at Kaiser, And my background is in the Soto Zen tradition.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Victor Ogundepe. I'm in the MDiv program. I'm on the ministerial track. Also live in the Bay Area. Recently moved here about a year ago and have really been enjoying it. I guess the last thing I'll say is I was really excited to hear about the 2026 classes. I've already got some of them marked down, so I'm looking forward to that. And just happy to see a lot of faces of folks that I know. Oh, how's it going, Mr. Sensei? And then also looking forward to seeing a lot of you in class and, you know, talking with you that I'm seeing for the first time. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Galen Gore-Langton. I am just now entering into the MDiv program. I have a prior research background, prior graduate work in both rhetoric and philosophy. Currently, my research is kind of imagining ways that Shin Buddhist studies can fruitfully engage with disability studies and theories of disability rhetoric. As I move more deeply into my MDiv work, I'm kind of thinking that I might want to look more at listening studies and thinking about ways that Shin Buddhism can engage with listening studies, which is kind of ironic because I'm half deaf, but in East Asian Buddhism, we love paradox, so glad to be here.
Hi, everybody. My name is Andy Wallace. Can I talk from here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, stand straight up.
I'm in the Buddhist chaplaincy program. I live in Petaluma. I just retired from a 30-year career as a philosophy professor and want to go into hospice chaplaincy. I'm in my first semester, just started. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Vinuta Sudhakaran. I use they, them pronouns. This is my first contact of any kind with IBS, so I am feeling really grateful to be here. I'm part of the chaplaincy program starting fall. My background is in trauma and somatics, and I do yoga and mindfulness at prisons, so I'm curious about prison chaplaincy. Looking forward to engaging with everybody. Thanks.
Hi everyone, my name is Sandeep Tuchini. I also use they, them pronouns. I am in the MDiv program. This is my second year, and I'm going to do village education this semester, and I'm going to start a placement at a jail in Santa Clara County. So that's pretty much going to be my focus this semester. Good to be with you.
Hello, my name is Amanda Carries, and I'm a Soto Zen practitioner. I practice at the San Francisco Zen Center, primarily Green Gulch Farm, Noble Hermitage, and also at San Quentin State Prison. I started at IBS in the Soto Zen certificate program, and I just feel very grateful to be able to continue and study in the Masters of Buddhist Studies and in Soto Zen, and just thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Ryoko-san. I'm a resident minister of Berkeley Higashiyama Buddhist Temple. This is the second year of this IBS, and I really appreciated all of our instructors. And I know for a long time about this IBS, but now I'm a student, and I didn't know that such a wonderful program was here, and I really enjoyed. And this semester, I'm going to a CP program, so maybe I'm not taking any class, but just only Professor Chen's class, and she is very kind and supportive, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay, I see that one of our members of our staff has returned. So Gishi, did you want to introduce yourself, say a couple things? Yeah, please.
My name is Geshin Greenwood. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the admissions director, and you may have interacted with me through email or meeting one-on-one while you applied. I also do marketing and communications, so I will probably be emailing and bugging you at some point to do like a student profile or to get a quote from you at some point. So happy to be here, nice to see you all.
The requirements for each of the programs. So let me take you to an example here for the certificate in Theravada Buddhist Studies. And you'll have the required courses right here, okay? That'll let you know. So each of the programs are listed out, including the MABS as well as the MDiv. Okay, the MDiv will be on page 34, but I think you kind of have an idea of what I'm trying to explain here.
Is there any way to share full screen so the text is a little bigger? For the...
Not really? Okay. Okay, should we bring the screen closer? Oh, it is kind of hard to see.
Screen share makes it full screen, isn't it?
Okay.
The other thing is, can you back up? Online people didn't catch the beginning because it was muted. Can you just say what you're talking about?
Oh, okay, so right now what I'm talking about are the requirements, just for the people who missed this, are the requirements for the individual programs, like the certificate programs or the MABS and the MDiv. And I just gave an example of the Theravada certificate, but this one is the MDiv, okay, the Master Div, which is on page 34 here, also lists out the required courses here, okay? So if you could just kind of take a gander at that. And let me move over, because so also keep in mind that this is, I'm showing you the catalog right now, but this is also for your convenience, it's also on the website as well. And I'll have Nancy Sensei explain that in a little bit more detail in a bit. The other thing I wanted to kind of talk about here is the stackable curriculum. And the stackable curriculum says that if you are in one of the individual certificate programs, and you really like it here and it's really great here, that you could then continue your studies over to a degree program, which is the Master's in Buddhist Studies, the MABS, or the Master in Divinity, okay? So, and that's a fairly straightforward form, and the admissions committee will discuss it and then let you know if you have passed on into the degree program. So it's a fairly smooth transition, and I'd like to encourage you to kind of think about that along your way in your studies. Okay, so you could finish at the certificate, or you could continue on into the one of the two degrees. Okay. It'll take you to registration and program forms.
Right, there's just a menu of forms, and they will link you to the actual form. And all of our forms are so simple, you know, they're barely even a page long and with big type. So there's not a lot you're going to have to do, but it's helpful, I think, because for many of the things you would want to petition for, like petition for leave of absence, or if you're planning to exercise the stackable curriculum, you would want to look for the petition to advance. It's just a one-page form, and you just explain, you know, I think you have to show or list the program you're currently in and what you would like to move on to. And it's a very simple process of turning your pursuit of a certificate program into a concurrent or post-certificate degree program. It doesn't cost anything to apply, and you don't have to reapply to the degree program in this way. You just let the dean know what your intentions are. So that's one of our really wonderful forms. A form that is very handy to have knowledge of is the certificate for an incomplete, or a petition for incomplete
And that's a contract you work out with your instructor to get a couple of extra weeks if you can't finish your work by the end of the semester. So then instead of a grade, you would just have an in-progress IP on your transcript until you submit your work. But anyway, those are just some of the basic forms. They reflect a lot of the things that you'll find in the catalog of actions that you can take as a student to keep your studies at IBS going.
Can you do this one?
Yeah. And rather than go through all the forms, I think they're pretty self-explanatory just from the title. And if you find you're in a bind, running out of time, look for that certificate or for petition for incomplete, and you can get that extra time. All of our instructors are really good about working with their students on making this happen in a timely manner. And then one last form that might be handy to look at as a continuing student is the completion form. If you're in a certificate program or if you're in a degree program, look for your completion form. And Dean Miyagi had explained that within the catalog, you can look up your degree, you can look up what your requirements are. But also, if you kind of keep track of your requirements on this simple form, I'm kind of old school. I do like to sometimes have just a paper to work with. And as you go through your semesters, you can just, write in the name of that course that fulfilled X requirement, and you'll know where you are in your progression. We have, of course, your advisors are excellent, and they, as long as you stay in touch with them, you'll definitely be registering for the courses as they come along, the ones that you need. But some of our students like to be a little more independent and might not be checking in as much as others. So if you at least are keeping track of what your requirements are, you won't end up in your final year feeling like, oh yikes, I've got to take this other course and it's not being offered this semester. But basically check with your advisors, check with the dean, and check on this list of forms.
Wonderful, thank you.
That's it.
In terms of navigating the website, what I always do to find things is I just scroll to the very bottom to quick links. You're going to find pretty much almost everything you need through there. So registration and forms is where we are right now. The academic calendar is now up, and also there's a link to the academic catalog and course schedule. But since we're on registration and forms, maybe I'll just come back up here and say that, if you have, for almost all of the most common situations that might arise, such as petitioning for incomplete or anything like that, there's a form for that. So just check this page, see if there's a form. If there really isn't a form, then you can contact your academic advisor or whoever the right person would be to check with whatever particular situation you would have. But leave of absence, when you're ready to complete your certificate or degree, those forms are up here. Petition for incomplete. Special reading course, if your advisor, your academic advisor, or some other faculty member is willing to do this is like independent study is what it's often called at other schools. If there's a particular topic you want to pursue, there's a form for that. Those of you doing master's level degrees, a thesis proposal form. If you want to take a course at GTU, and for some of you that may be required, like in the MDiv, you're actually required to take at least one GTU course. Same with the chaplaincy certificate. There's a cross-registration form there. And also for those of you in degree programs, you can cross-register and take courses at UC Berkeley. So if there is a topic you're interested in, or perhaps even a language class, we've had students take Sanskrit or Chinese in the past at UC Berkeley. That's also a possibility. And let's see, Dr. Lulu Chen asked me to highlight the field education proposal form, and there's also a field education handbook. I guess, I don't know, they're not like alphabetically arranged. So, but, just familiarize yourself with what's here on this page. And if you are doing field education, if you're in the MDiv program, it's really important to look at that. Likewise, if you're in any degree program, you're going to write a thesis, look at the thesis handbook. Here on this page, I think you even have to sign when you do your thesis proposal form to say, yes, I've read the handbook. So yeah, a lot of important forms on this page. Let me now go down and say, yes, the academic calendar also important, and you can always easily find it again at the bottom of our website through the quick links. I think it's there in the catalog as well, but now I would say it's easier to find just on the website for all those important deadlines like Helen was talking about, with the add drop period ending September 12th, your tuition deadline, and then things like November, keep that in your head for up ahead when you're going to register for spring courses. And then there's like the deadline to petition for incomplete. So those kinds of important deadlines are on the academic calendar. We also have things like Reading Week for those of you who are new students. It's kind of like a fall break, spring break. Those are in there. I don't want to take up too much time, so you can kind of like look at these details on your own. But something else I want to point your attention to, many of you may have already gone through this course schedule. If you've already been registering for courses, there's a link, if you go there, to the GTU SONUS site, okay? And this is where you can search by your school year. Not too many courses tend to be listed for like next school year. So, I mean, they don't even have it up there. But you can look at fall, and you can also look at spring. Again, like it's up to the individual GTU schools, like when they're gonna list their courses. So not all the spring courses may be up there, but definitely all the fall courses should be there. And then under the campus, I see that our school, IBS, is already selected there. But you can see there's plenty of other schools and programs at the GTU. So, say you want to take a course on Hinduism, you can select Center for Dharma Studies, for example, and see what they have available. They have a Center for Islamic Studies and so on. For many of you who are interested in chaplaincy and spiritual care, that GTU chaplaincy program is a good one to look at to see what courses they have on offer. Of course, I think you can also just say, go to select, and that'll just show you all the courses. It's kind of a lot to wade through, but you could just look at everything that's on offer for the semester. And then that will show you, right now this is our courses, so you have the title of the course. You can click on that as an example. Oh, this one doesn't have a description, but let's try introducing. Oh, okay. Which ones of these have a description? Let's try Buddhist tradition. Maybe there's something with the SONUS site right now. Yeah, normally the course description would be there when you click on it. And then it shows you the credits, which campus, the instructor, the time. So this is important to check both the time the class is meeting, but also the delivery method over here. Whether it's being offered online asynchronous or online synchronous, or for courses being offered in person. There's a classroom. This one, topics in Buddhist women, you're offering hybrid, right? So update?
Yeah, it's,
okay.
No one is local.
Okay.
Or
okay.
online. And can I say one thing, because I've been asked so many times, this type of course name and number, topics in Buddhist women, I teach I have two courses that have the same number and same title, but if the content is different, if the subtitle is different, you can take them both. Yeah, and that's the same for any course of that ilk.
Right.
In Buddhist practice, or there are many courses, so look for the subtitle. to see if you've taken the class or not.
Right, or you can take like both Harry Sensei and I teach readings in Mahayana texts, but we're teaching different texts under that course title. So you could take both courses and get credit for both. So thanks, yeah, for clarifying that. Let me see. I think these are a lot of, most of our courses actually have an option if they're being delivered hybrid. You could take it either in person or through Zoom synchronously. I think this semester, my Buddhist Spiritual Care 1 course may be the only one where you're required to take it in person only. And so the classroom is not up there yet, but I do have, I think it's the same one, 1:30, and you won't see a concurrent hybrid option there. It doesn't say yes for that. But I guess the best is always just check with the instructor, double check for any of these cases. Was there anything else I needed to cover under this topic? Okay, all right, thank you.
So this is a continuation of what Nancy was talking about regarding page 26 is where we'll start. Regarding paying attention to how classes are being offered in our, for the certificate side of things, 2 of our certificates currently are in person, the certificate in chaplaincy and the certificate in Theravada studies. And we have 3 online certificates. And looking at our degree programs, page 30.
Oh, 36.
Or sorry, 26. For the master's side of things, we just wanted to be clear that currently the Master of Divinity program is an online program, which means page 26 compares the 2 up here. That's perfect, thank you. Awesome, so I wanted to pull up this chart that we have compared. So the modality for the MDiv program is on-site, which means that so this gets to my hat of like our accreditation side of things. None of our MDiv students can take more than 50% of their classes online. So just be really aware of that. Check with your advisor. Just know that that's the state for the MDiv program. The MABS, we just were approved to have an online program. Yay! That was so much work. Thank you. It was so much work. But, so that's great. So that can be taken on-site or online. So then, what do we mean by online? So now we'll go down to page 39. So the word online means a bunch of different things at a lot of different institutions. As you heard this morning, we really take the strong pedagogical model that we believe that learning is best done in conversation. So the majority of our courses that are online are going to be online synchronous. They are going to have a time, and that is part of our pedagogical model. We actually think it's one thing that kind of sets us apart in that formation of community, coming together through conversation. So we wanted to clarify that for this year, and so we have definitions in the catalog, and you're going to see these terms used over again. In person obviously means that that class is delivered face-to-face, and Nancy was talking about the few courses that we have this fall that are specifically in person without a hybrid option. Online synchronous means that the course includes required live meetings through Zoom at a designated day or time. Concurrent hybrid means that some students are in person, some students are online, and then online asynchronous is that the class is 100% online asynchronous. I don't believe we have any classes this fall that are 100% online asynchronous. Even in the case where we have had those courses, the instructor does try to build in times for students to come together live. So a few years ago, I had an async course, but I still built in times for students to come together in community and actually my students asked for it. They said we are at IBS because we want to be in community with each other. And so that's what we did. So always reach out to your instructor if you have any questions about course delivery, modality, any concerns. I do think this is the time, could we take a few, does anybody have any questions about this component? Because sometimes all instructors, we get questions, yeah.
If it's an online class but not hybrid, could you still come to the school and like log in from somewhere? Is there like a classroom available?
Oh, that's a good question. So like even if the class doesn't have a room, could you come and use this space?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the common area, the communal area down here on the first floor, that would be an area I could think of that you could.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really great question, because if you're around and you want reliable internet and a quiet spot.
Well, I've worked at home for a long time, and so
Yeah.
let's get out of the house as much as possible.
Yeah, I really like that. Yeah. So for folks on Zoom, if you couldn't hear, the question is if you're in the area and you want, even if the class is online synchronous, if you want a space in order to Zoom in, could you come to campus and Zoom in using one of the spaces on campus? Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. Any other questions about modality? Well, if you have any questions, reach out to your advisor or reach out to the instructor. And I'm also available if you want to reach out to me from the kind of side of knowing the logistics. Thanks, Mike.
So when you were admitted to IBS, you should have been assigned an academic advisor. That would be a faculty member who is there to serve as your guide in your academic career with us, your academic times spent with us. And we do distinguish that from, say, if you're in the MDiv program, then Dr. Lilu Chen will serve in the capacity of kind of guiding you in field education. And so that's like a second role that's very important for those of you in the MDiv program. And even if you're in the chaplaincy certificate program or any certificate program and you're interested in chaplaincy, or ministerial work in the future, I would encourage you, especially if you're thinking you might want to stack and go to an MDiv later, to talk to Lilu early and often about that. She is there as a resource for you, but the academic advisor is there in terms of like, what do you need to complete your certificate program or degree in terms of your coursework, and if you have a thesis requirement for the master's degree to get through that. And so you should be checking in with your academic advisor minimum once a semester, if at just at the very least to say, you know, hey, registration for the next semester is coming up. These are the classes I'm thinking about taking. I would say your role as a student, like you have a lot of resources at your disposal before you talk to your advisor. So you have the academic catalog, the course listings. Basically for any kind of question, I would recommend check the catalog first, because it's a very long catalog. You don't have to like read it from start to finish, even if you did like me, like you wouldn't remember everything in it. But it's a PDF document. You can look at the table of contents, you can do a PDF word search, you know, just to say, oh, I have a question about, you know, yeah, like tuition deadlines or whatever your question might be, you know, your scholarship, you know, like I want to apply for the scholarship for next year. I'm interested in doing a special reading course. What are the policies on that? Check the catalog first, see what it says, and then check in with your advisor. But yeah, just set the kind of bare minimum to like sign up for your classes. You do need your approval from your academic advisor for the classes that you would want to take for each semester. So you should be in touch with them, whether that's setting up a time to meet in office hours or an email, however you know, that's kind of between you and your advisor, your preferred modes of communication, but minimum once a semester. Often, but not always, your academic advisor, if you're in a degree program, will also serve as your thesis advisor. And I think one reason for that is when we assign the academic advisor, I mean, that's actually Dean Takashi Miyaji's role, I think, to assign who your academic advisor would be. But often we'll be looking out for what kinds of interests did you express in your admission application, and then who seems like a good academic advisor fit for you. But often, you know, as a student, you may have multiple interests, or they may shift, or you may have a thesis topic you want to focus on that maybe wasn't where you started with when you applied. And so you can have a different thesis advisor if you're in a master's program than who your academic advisor is. So just keep that in mind. Also, the academic advisor is sometimes also just whoever's the head of that program, like the Certificate of Buddhist Studies program, if the head of the program, they may end up as your academic advisor for that reason. So just keep that in mind, and I think I would also encourage you to feel free to reach out to any faculty about any of your intellectual or practical interests and say, hey, your academic advisor is your like home-based resource, but we're all here to provide resources and advice as well. So I think that's the key point. I don't know if there's any questions about that.
Like I said, I've been teaching here 17 years, and it's only 2 weeks ago I found out the calendar is at the end of the current catalog. So 2025, 2026, you can go online, but if you don't have internet access, but you downloaded the catalog, you can look at the very end as the 25, 26 calendar.
That's right, thank you.
Do you want to repeat that?
I can't hear you.
Can you repeat that?
Oh, okay, yeah, Harry Sensei just pointed out that the academic calendar is at the end. It's like in the last couple of pages of the academic catalog. So in case like you don't have internet access or you need a way to find it, you can also find it. So again, just to reiterate, everything's in the catalog, almost everything, including the academic calendar. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think there was one thing that I did want to mention that we might have overlooked. Please let me know if we already did cover this. But so I had mentioned earlier that in the course catalog, it lists out all the requirements of the individual programs, like the certificates and the degrees. But there's actually a faster way to do that. If you go under the academics tab here, under the, let's say, degree program, MDiv, it'll show you what you need to take. Okay, so under here, so it has all the requirements. So I mean, if you want, I would highly encourage you to make a spreadsheet and see which classes you have completed, which ones you're intending to take for which classes. I do that for all my students, but if you can do that on your end, it makes it a lot faster and a lot easier to do that. So just wanted to let you know again, it's under the academics here, under the online certificate programs tab here. Okay.
Yay, we're going to talk about writing now. Writing is something that we all do in one form or another, and I think many of us on the faculty are quite passionate about writing, the practice of writing, how to write. Real quickly, before I go into writing, I know there was a question online about the GTU library, and this kind of relates as well. In this presentation, we'll get into some of the GTU library resources that you can use. There's also a physical library here for those of you who are in person. That is also a space where you can go to work. We can talk more about that. That wasn't really built in yet, but now I realize we probably should have talked about it. Yes, so as a IBS student, you get a library card there. You can get a library card, you can check out things. They have physical books, they have a very large online subscriptions to journals and databases. I think Thomas will get into that in the presentation. Okay, so talking about writing, here we're doing academic writing. So for some of you, that's like, oh, I know how to do that. Others of you, this might be completely new, right? Maybe you worked in another field, another industry, and you're like, citations, what academic writing? So we just wanted to give you like a kind of quick primer that Dr. Thomas Calabrese put together, and just to acknowledge that writing might be daunting, unfamiliar, confusing. So talk to your course advisor, talk to your academic advisor. We're going to name a lot of resources that you can turn to for your writing support. And even if you're a pro in writing, you might actually learn something from this video. It's excellent. And Thomas Calabrese, he is one of our adjunct faculty. And he's really passionate about writing too. So Gordon's going to help us get this set up.
My name is Dr. Thomas Calabrese. I am a research fellow here at the Institute of Buddhist Studies, and I'm here to give you a brief presentation about writing resources for you students going into your programs. We're going to cover just a few different things today. First, we're just going to talk a little bit about what academic writing is, what it's for, and what types there are. Next, we're going to go into the resources you all have as IBS students. Following that, we're going to talk about books and websites and applications that can help you with your writing. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right into it with academic writing. Here I want to talk just briefly about the purpose of writing in the academic setting. And first and foremost, it's for assessment. We as your faculty instructors need to see how you're improving with your overall understanding of the material that we've provided for you in each course. And we do that primarily through reading your writing. Beyond that, the intent of this kind of writing is to analyze, to educate, and persuade. So these are the sorts of aims that you're going for in any given piece of writing that you have. Now, within that, there are several types of writing or kinds of essays that are involved in academic writing. First, we'll talk about narrative. So this is kind of first-person writing about your own experiences or the experiences of others. You're most likely to do this kind of writing in a course on ministry, chaplaincy, or even courses that involve social scientific methods and research methodologies. Descriptive. So this one is more or less self-explanatory. It's describing a phenomenon, an object, an artifact, an experience, or an event. Expository is what we think of typically as a sort of college essay where you have a thesis statement and you provide evidence for it in a sort of logical or thematic manner in order to support the claim that you're making in the overall paper. Persuasive is similar to expository, but is just longer in form. The primary example of this would be your capstone or thesis project at the end of your program. But you can also think of these more or less as elements rather than neatly divided or mutually exclusive types of writing. Descriptive essays could include expository or persuasive features. It could also include narrative. A narrative could be toward a persuasive end. You could try to convince somebody of something through your narrative and talking about your experience. Also, persuasive essays could include narrative and descriptive features. So don't think of these as strictly bounded types, but rather as elements that you could include in any type of academic writing. Next, we're going to talk about the types of resources you have available to you as IBS students. So first, we've got the thesis handbook, then we'll talk about the GTU library, and finally, we'll talk a little bit about UC Berkeley. The thesis handbook, I think, was developed a few years ago as a handy-dandy notebook for students in MABS and MDiv programs to get a full comprehensive guide to doing their thesis. And it covers the following subjects: how to develop a research topic and write a proposal, the best practices for writing your thesis or capstone, what to expect as a thesis capstone or defense, or capstone defense, I should say, and how to file your thesis or capstone for graduation. Though this is intended for the MABS and MDiv students, I would encourage other students in certificate programs to also consult this as well, because the best practices that are included in there are relevant to every student. And you can find this PDF handbook at the link included here on this page, there in purple below. The GTU library, so it's a physical building, of course, but they have, since in the last 5 years, really improved their online offerings, and I think that this is where GTU library presents the most opportunity for IBS students, particularly because of some of the new subscriptions they have acquired over the last 5 years. And so you'll see here that I've included 5 different databases or publishers that I would highly encourage our students to consult for digital resources. Those, first and foremost is JSTOR, followed by that Project Muse, the Oxford Research Encyclopedias, Sage Publications, and Brill. This is where you're going to find the most material relevant to Buddhist studies, and you can find this material on the link included there in green at the top. GTU and IBS students have library privileges through UC Berkeley. However, they are somewhat limited. Students who are online won't be able to fully, or actually probably at all, realize this sort of library privilege because the privilege that's allowed to IBS and GTU students only allows you to use physical materials and use the proxies on the library terminals. You can't use the proxy from your own computer. If you're outside of the Bay Area, if you're not living in Berkeley or thereabouts, and you can't get to UC Berkeley campus, you can't really utilize this feature. However, if you are in the Bay Area or living in Berkeley, great, that's good. I would highly encourage you to utilize the resources available to you through your library privileges card and UC Berkeley. And it also gives you access to not just the DOE library, which you see here on the left-hand side. Actually, this is both DOE library, but you also get access to the East Asian library, which is highly relevant to our research and studies. So please take advantage of that if you can, if you're living in the Bay Area or Berkeley in particular. Now, I want to talk a little bit about some books that I recommend and other members of the faculty recommend to you if you're looking for ways to improve your writing or just get a grip on the mechanics of graduate level academic writing and research. I think these books are really important to have. This first set of books here, of course, Chicago Manual of Style and a Manual for Writers, these are about citation and formatting. They're not so much guides to writing per se, but more the technical side of it. Manual for Writers is the derivative version of the Chicago Manual of Style. It's less detailed, as it shows here. It says a Chicago style for students and researchers. I found it pretty sufficient for my own needs as a writer while I was a student at IBS and GTU. However, if you want to get into deeper detail, into the real nitty-gritty, I highly recommend you check out the Chicago Manual of Style. The other book I mentioned here is The Craft of Research. I've used this one both as a student and as a member of the faculty at IBS, and I think it's a great tool for helping students structure their research in really clear and effective ways. I taught research methods. I used this book to help my students hone in on their thesis statement, and I would say it was quite effective as a tool. And you can get all of these from University of Chicago Press. I would highly encourage you to buy directly from the publisher or from an independent bookstore. The next three here are more about writing advice and less so about technical or like citation formatting. The first one here, Write Your Dissertation in 15 Minutes a Day, was recommended by Dr. Lilu Chen. So I'm going to let her talk a little bit more about that book in her portion of the orientation presentation today. The next two are ones that I recommend for our students. Write No Matter What, Advice for Academics is, as the subtitle suggests, writing advice for those who are working as full-time faculty. However, I think some of its material on how to set boundaries and create effective time and space in your professional life to actually do your writing would be incredibly helpful for our students, as I know many of you are taking IBS classes part-time. You're working on your degree part-time while you do a full-time job, or you have family, or you have other things in your life that are just as important as, if not more so, than your studies at IBS. So figuring out how to create those boundaries and write effectively within very narrow timeframes is, I think, going to be a helpful tool for our students. The next one here is Listening to People, a practical guide to interviewing, participant observation, data analysis, and writing it all up. This one is, as the subtitle suggests, a practical guide on doing ethnographic research or social scientific methods. I think this one would be really helpful for many of our students who are very interested in getting out into the field, talking to people, conducting more social scientific or ethnographic research. and then how to effectively write that up into a master's thesis. Because time is of the essence when you're writing your thesis or capstone project. So doing that most effectively will be incredibly helpful for our students. So I encourage you to check out any and all of these books. Again, I would encourage you to get them from the publisher. The two I've included here are also from University of Chicago Press. You can buy them from them, as well as from independent bookstores online, such as bookshop.org or Powell's. I think that's all we have on the books. So finally, we're going to talk about the websites and applications. These video lectures here, this Leadership Labs, this is also from the University of Chicago. This is recommended by Dr. Paula Arai. She introduced me to the first of these, and I realized there's also a sort of companion piece. The first one is The Craft of Writing Effectively, and then the follow-up is Writing Beyond the Academy. Both are by this fellow, Larry McInerney. So these are available on YouTube. If you just look up Leadership Lab and put in the title, you'll find these videos. There's also, of course, plenty of other writing resources out there on YouTube. The quality of them, I think, is going to be something you'll have to evaluate as you go. But of course, I would recommend you check out YouTube for all of its kind of free and public writing resources. But begin here with these two that are recommended by Dr. Arai. Online quick guides. So both Turabian and Chicago Manual of Style have online quick guides. So if you're on the go, if you don't have your handbook with you, or you don't have your giant copy of Chicago Manual of Style, you can access them online. I should note also that the entirety of the Chicago Manual of Style is available online for free through the G2 library. It's in the same place where you'll find the other electronic resources I mentioned, like the databases, JSTOR, Project Muse, and so on. And you can find them at the link that's included here below in green. So if you need to consult these things quickly, you can. Of course, since it is a quick guide, it's not as comprehensive as the actual books are going to be, or the actual full online resources will be. So keep that in mind. The Online Writing Lab from Purdue University, this is one that I highly recommend because of its comprehensive nature. It's anything you'd be looking for, like how to create sentence variety, the kind of like more technical things about structuring your sentences, not doing run-ons, avoiding plagiarism, things like that. There's tons of material on how to make sure that your citations are done properly, how, when and how and where to provide proper citations for any information that you give. They do have guides for Chicago, as well as other forms like you see here, MLA and APA. If you're on your way out of your program and you're on the job search, they do have resume guides and things like that. As you can see, this is one of the more popular resources they provide. They also have video tutorials that are offered by the on-campus writing lab. They're also included online. I just think that this is a really great resource, and I would encourage all of our students to take the time, look through all of its incredibly comprehensive offerings, and see what it can offer to them. So this is one I really encourage you to check out online. And since it's all free, there's no premium subscription required or anything like that to access it in its fullness. So again, highly encourage you to check this one out. Now, finally, I want to talk about a few different apps that will be helpful to you as a writer going through your program. And of course, there are 1,000,001 different apps out there today. I've only picked just a handful. I've got 7 here. And if you find there are others, you can go online. There's tons of websites that review apps all the time. So I'd encourage you to do your research on this matter if you're looking to use different kinds of apps to help you with your writing. But these are the ones that I think are probably the most important for our students to at least know about, if not use. And some of them are overlapped. They're not all unique in that sense. So let me talk first about Grammarly. Grammarly I've used it for about a year, and it's something like a proofreading tool. It does have an AI component. It has a generative AI component in its premium form. However, I use it primarily as a proofreading tool, similar to like the editor feature in Microsoft Word. It's much like that, although I think it's a little bit more meticulous in catching errors in your writing and suggesting rewrites for clarity and things like that. I find it incredibly helpful in that regard. Zotero is a completely free open source online citation organization application. This one I don't use personally, but I know many who do use it and swear by it. The GTU has online tutorials on how to use Zotero, so you can check those out through the GTU library for free. Really handy to get that all installed on your computer and working with it quickly. I know that, citation formatting is probably one of the bigger headaches that our students deal with throughout the program. So this is going to be your shortcut to making sure that everything is well organized. Notion and Asana are both sort of project management or project organization tools. I've used Asana in a number of different situations and found it fairly helpful especially for collaborative work. But I think it could also be good for an individual while they're working on their writing projects to just keep track of every little detail that they have going on with their research. Trello is a similar thing. It's also a sort of project management organization tool that's, best used collaboratively, but I also think would be helpful for writers as they're working on their papers or capstone or thesis. Scrivener is a similar app, though it's specifically designed for writers. This is another one recommended by Dr. Lilu Chen. So I'll let Dr. Chen speak a bit about that one and her experience using that one. Before Sunset, finally, here is more like a organizational app that is AI based. I've used this one as well and found it pretty helpful for charting out, say, a calendar or a plan for writing any piece of work that you have to do. And it gives you helpful ways to kind of like check off little lists of things that you want to get done. So I found that one very helpful, especially when I have multiple tasks to try to achieve in one day, having them all laid out in a clear format that's pretty, turnkey, very simple, very intuitive. It really helped me out. So I would also recommend this to our students who have a lot going on, but when you need to figure out how to get on top of all of it, Before Sunset can help you do that. Okay, so again, like I said, this is just 7 apps of the like millions and millions out there. You can find all these on the App Store. Since many of them, I think all of them except for Zotero, have some sort of tiered feature, you'll want to consider whether it's worthwhile investment for you, given whatever financial constraints that you have. But you can find all these in the App Store and check them out for yourself. See if they really help you, or if they don't, you don't have to use them. It's okay. So summing up here, we talked a little bit about academic writing, what its purpose is and what types there are. We then went over the resources available to you as an IBS student. Following that, we talked a bit about some books that I think are really helpful for our students. And then finally, we talked about some websites and apps that would be really helpful as well. That's all I have for this. Thanks so much for watching and have a great semester.
Start again, please.
Okay. I just want to say we really appreciate Thomas Calabrese for putting together that video. I think it's got a lot of really good resources, and it is available on the IBS website, or will be soon. So if you want to go back and reference something that he said today, or kind of find one of those links or titles, I'll just fill in real quickly the book, Writing Your Dissertation in 15 Minutes a Day. I used that when I was a PhD student. It's worth looking at. I think the main gist is like write every day, even if it's like 10 or 15 minutes, even write about how you're not writing. or write about how difficult it is that you can't write today and what you wish you could have written. Just kind of that warm touch with the project. And Scrivener is a great app if you're organizing lots of different files and chapters. Like it'll let you put in your PDFs and all sorts of documents. And also good for like screenwriters or film, because it has a really cool way of organizing projects. And I also want to put in a plug for considering presenting your writing at an academic conference. We have opportunities here at IBS where we want to get students presenting their work. We also have scholarships if you want to travel to a conference and present something you wrote here at IBS. So yeah, talk to your advisor, talk to your instructor, think about that. Also want to encourage publishing down the line. We've had a few of our students publish their papers, amazing papers already, turning it into articles. And also just a quick note about being mindful of plagiarism, and your course instructors will talk about that more. But with all of these kind of AI things, like we want to make sure that our work is our own and we didn't have the computer write all of it. So there are more details about that, but just I want to name that. Finally, Dr. Thomas Calabrese has offered to provide one-on-one support. So if you feel like you have some very specific individual writing needs, you can reach out to him and just kind of start a conversation.
My name is Geshen. I'm the admissions director here, but in another role, I'm also a licensed marriage and family therapist. I have a private practice in San Francisco, and I work with queer and trans adults who have depression, anxiety, PTSD, or are questioning their sexuality and gender. So in this very short talk, we'll be talking about mental health symptoms, a little bit about suicidality, and then we'll talk about how to find a therapist. So if at any point in the next 10 minutes, or just in general in life, you find yourself feeling overwhelmed or like you're starting to float away, I want to share just a little quick resource about that. So I invite you all, if you would like, to, you can try it out right now, just sit up and you can feel your feet. Thank you. You can feel your feet on the floor and really just connect to the groundedness of the floor. And then, if you want to, you can put one hand here and one hand here, and then just do a slow tap back and forth. And what this is doing is bilaterally stimulating your brain, which is good when you're overwhelmed. Great. And then if you're ever in a situation where you can't just go like this, you can also just tap your feet back and forth. It does kind of a similar function of stimulating both sides of your brain. All right. So maybe the second slide? Yes. Can you go to the next slide?
Do you do it on your computer?
Oh, I do it on my computer? No.
Oh, we don't.
Yes, I have to do it too.
Yeah.
Okay, you do it next slide.
Great. Okay, so the first thing I want to acknowledge is that as Buddhism has come to the West, it's become psychologized a lot. And what that means is that Buddhist practices are now used in mental health treatment. So, for example, mindfulness is very popular in mental health treatment. But then also, kind of the inverse of that is that a lot of people sort of unknowingly or knowingly come to Buddhist practice as a way to treat mental illness or suffering. And I think this is much more, the line is much more blurry in the West. I trained in monasteries in India and Japan, and there the distinction was much starker between Buddhism and mental health treatment. And in fact, the abbots at both monasteries in India and Japan where I practiced would ask people to leave if they had severe mental illness. It was very much understood that these were separate things. And so I think a little bit of that, or a lot of that distinction is very helpful. So we're going to talk about just how to distinguish between the two, because there is overlap. So next slide, please. So what is in the realm of spirituality and what should be considered in the mental health sphere? So I want to acknowledge that there is overlap, right? You come to Buddhism probably because you have some question about suffering. So the overlap, I think this is existential despair and lack of meaning that can be in both depression as well as just a deep spiritual practice. But in the realm of spirituality, we might be asking questions like, why do people suffer? Why am I here? How can I help the world? What is the nature of my suffering or other suffering? And there's going to be an inquiry and curiosity about this. There might be eventually a lack of desire that feels peaceful and equanimous. And you might touch into a really fluid sense of self, either in community or meditation, whatever your practices are. But with all of this, there is an aliveness, there's a presence, and even if there's despair and suffering, it feels contained within a spiritual framework. Whereas in like a mental health crisis or mental illness, there is suffering, but it feels disembodied, it feels meaningless, there's no framework to process or make sense of what's happening, and the very clinically language I'm using, it feels bad in a way that feels out of control. And so some mental health symptoms are not sleeping or sleeping all the time, nightmares and flashbacks, thoughts of harming yourself or others, lack of desire or interest in activities that feels numb or dead. So, you might, in Buddhist practice, you might have a lack of desire, but it's going to feel good. In depression, it does not feel good to not want to do things. It feels flat and numb. You might feel dissociated or not present. And then in trauma, this can fracture a sense of self. But it feels nothing like the fluid sense of self in enlightenment moments. It's kind of night and day. In trauma, you might feel like a ghost or an alien, that kind of like disembodied, fractured self. So if any of these things are happening, I'll talk at the end about how to find a therapist. Next slide. So, we're going to talk about suicide very briefly. There is kind of a misconception that talking about suicide openly, talking about the risks, is dangerous or might encourage people to kill themselves, when in fact the opposite is true. Speaking openly about wanting to die or suicide actually decreases stigma. It makes people feel less alone. And even using really blunt language like wanting to kill yourself rather than suicide is good practice. If you ask somebody, do you want to kill yourself, they'll probably feel relieved and like they have the opportunity to share. But there's many kind of degrees of suicidality, and not all of them need the same kind of support. So at the first level, you might feel like you just don't want to be here. You kind of want to take a nap. My client calls it wanting to take a forever nap. Plenty of people feel this way. Life is hard, and particularly at this point in human history, it's kind of overwhelming. So, but we consider this low risk. But what it means is that you might benefit from some more help, some more support. So you find a weekly support group, or therapy or psychiatry. So the next level of risk, medium risk, is kind of, if you're thinking it might be nice to not be here, and you've fantasized about ways you could kill yourself. So when it gets to that point, definitely tell a friend, call a support line. I have on the right some support lines. Please write them down. I'm a fan of the 741-741. This is a crisis text line, and it's easier to use because it's text, and so you don't have to actually call a stranger and be like, I want to kill myself, which you can also do at 988, but if that feels intimidating, you can do the text crisis line. And so the level 3, if you're having fantasies about how to kill yourself and have researched ways to do it, that's a kind of escalation, that's high risk. Definitely seek support as soon as possible. call a crisis line, or you might actually benefit from an outpatient program or a DBT group. That's for people with really intense desires to harm themselves or like impulsivity. Kaiser has if you have Kaiser, they have a DBT group that's easy to access. And so the last is imminent risk. If you have a thought of ending your own life within 48 hours, we want to intervene immediately. So go to the hospital. I've listed some hospitals on the right. There's in San Leandro, the John George Psychiatric Hospital. There's Alta Bates in Berkeley. The other thing you can do if you don't want to go to the hospital is have a friend come over, and this seems obvious, but have them remove any things you might be, like implements from the house. And then you can follow up with your doctor or psychiatrist. There's also mobile crisis, which is a non-911 alternative to mental health crises. I'm a fan of them because I think involving the police can get dangerous. Alameda has their own mobile crisis line, and they'll basically some therapists will show up. Okay, next slide. So no matter where you are in that, or if you don't have any, symptoms like that, it's always great to increase your buffers. Buffers are things that give us meaning in life and also prevent against feelings of wanting to die. So religious, spiritual community is a great buffer. Luckily, you're at a place that really values community, connection to friends and family. Nature is a wonderful buffer. There's plenty of places to hike in Oakland and Berkeley. Movement, especially dance. There's actually been studies that show that dance is just as effective as antidepressants. So great alternative to medication if you don't want to do that. Pets, who doesn't love a dog? Coping skills, that you can learn in like DBT classes if you don't have them. And then having goals for future, even if it's an arbitrary goal. Like I would like to publish a book, I would like to move here. Just having a goal in mind is very helpful. And then non-religious community too is really helpful. So you can volunteer, join a choir. It's really important to be around people in a way that's not necessarily talking. I think our nervous systems need to just be around people and experience joy together. Okay, so how do you find a therapist? Next slide, please. So on our website, if you go to the website, just go to the main website. I'm gonna take this. I just want to show you how to navigate it. Okay, so we're there already, but if you go to community, scroll up.
Right.
Can you scroll? Yeah, go to community and just click there. And then scroll down under student resources. There's mental health resources. And then there's a bunch of different ways to find a therapist. I want to just talk really quickly about this because a lot will depend on your insurance. And unfortunately, we live in a country that doesn't have great access to mental health care. It's very expensive. The going rate for a therapist in the Bay Area is like $200 to $250. If you don't have that kind of money, I recommend these sliding scale therapy clinics. This is where therapists go to get trained. So the fees are a lot lower. But usually the therapists are pretty good. I trained myself at Golden Gate Neighborhood Counseling Center, but there's a bunch of other options. And then Pacific Center for Human Growth in Berkeley is for queer folks. Open Path Collective is online. It's a database of sliding scale therapists. You can search like by individual therapist and like their specialty. Some non-emergency peer support options are the California Warm Line, and Pacific Center for Human Growth also has support groups. I forgot to mention, but the Mental Health Association of San Francisco also has really great support groups for depression, bipolar, hearing voices, things like that. And then, oh yeah, you can scroll down a little bit more. Search for a specific therapist. Psychology Today is probably the best place to do this, but you can also go to inclusive therapists if you want to find someone who is, of your own racial background or specializes in working with queer people, stuff like that. So just really quickly about insurance before we end. If you have a Kaiser, it's going to be hard to find a therapist who take over possible. You might just want to go for these sliding scale options. If you have a PPO insurance, it will be easier to find someone who takes insurance, but a lot of therapists don't take insurance because the reimbursement rates are so low. So